Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, December 21st. A lot I want to talk about this morning. A big storm continues to impact the eastern seaboard. We'll have additional heavy rain today in the mid-Atlantic region. I'm really concerned about localized flash flooding. That is going to be a serious concern over the next 12 to 24 hours or so, especially over eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, even down into the D.C. metro region, certainly including the New York City metro region as well. We had some heavy rain in the overnight hours, strong southerly wind gusts, a spring-like feel to the day right now. Temperatures near 60 degrees in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Warm air surged northward in the overnight hours along the eastern seaboard, and we still have a lot of rain to get through over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Before we get to the big storm here in the east, a couple of things I want to go over. We've occasionally focused in on the sea surface temperature anomaly map here, and I also want to take a look at the updated stratospheric warming forecast map. First of all, in terms of the current sea surface temperature anomalies around the world, during the winter outlook, there were two main areas that we focused in on, leading to our colder than normal and snowier than normal prediction for much of the eastern half of the nation, and indeed they are certainly falling into place. First of all, a very persistent area of warmer than normal waters sitting tucked in just south of Alaska here, near the Alaska southern coastline, the northwestern coastline of Canada. That particular type of feature existed earlier this decade during the winters of 2013-14 and again 14-15. What it tends to do is pump up an upper level ridge right in this region right here, and that in turn allows for cold air masses to drop from northern Canada into the central and eastern U.S. Certainly no change in the outlook for that to happen during the upcoming winter season. Another area of focus was the El Nino out in the middle part of the Pacific Ocean, and we certainly talked about this extensively during the winter outlook issued back in October. A Modoki type of El Nino, meaning out in the central part of the Pacific Ocean as compared with right here in the eastern part nearer to the South America west coast. This continues to look like it'll last right through the upcoming winter season. Basically a weak to moderate central Pacific El Nino, excuse me. That in turn tends to activate the southern branch of the jet stream, which certainly raises the possibility of coastal storms in the eastern part of the U.S. Also, a very persistent area of colder than normal water off of Australia. All that feeds into the likelihood of a colder and snowier winter compared to normal in much of the eastern third of the nation, and the real colder than normal pattern sets up, looks like, during the early and middle part of the month of January. Well, we've also talked extensively in recent days about an unfolding stratospheric warming event. This is a very interesting phenomenon that occasionally occurs during the winter season or the early middle part of the winter season, and it can result in some extreme cold that drops from the northern latitudes down into the middle latitudes, not necessarily from the North Pole into the U.S. or Canada. It can actually take place on the other side of the pole, but it raises the likelihood of some very cold air masses that will build up across the polar region that will eventually come down into the middle latitudes. This is a 10-day forecast map from last night's Zero-Z GFS model run. We're looking kind of at a top-down view of the northern hemisphere. The North Pole right in this region right here, right in the center of this map. Normally there's a cold polar vortex sitting right on top of the pole. Occasionally we have these stratospheric warming events where that polar vortex is displaced, split up, pushed from the polar region down into the middle latitudes, and that disrupts all kinds of temperature patterns. Basically what we have here in 10 days, very warm air in the stratospheric level over the pole. Below that, in the troposphere, there will be a kind of a corresponding move to a contraction, a chill down in the troposphere. Cold air piles up in the lower atmosphere underneath this warm blob that's in the stratosphere, and eventually that cold air then makes a move from the polar region down into the middle latitudes, and This whole process tends to take several weeks to unfold between the time you start to see the warming in the stratosphere, which was a couple of weeks ago now, and the time that the cold air impact reaches the middle latitudes, let's say the U.S., and that could be a couple weeks from now. So again, this is another sign for potential very cold air into the Canada, U.S. during the early or middle part of the month of January. Well, let's now focus in on the big storm in the short term here that's still impacting the eastern seaboard. Again, very concerned about localized flash flooding throughout the mid-Atlantic region, especially over eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And we'll see the radar in a moment. There are reasons to believe that some heavy downpours are coming. There could even be some training, some heavy cells, heavy showers, and maybe even thunderstorms moving over the same location hour after hour. And of course, grounds are very well saturated. We had heavy rain overnight, and again, it looks like more heavy rain is on the way. Low pressure, a couple of low pressure areas, one over northern Georgia and another area over the western part of Pennsylvania. All this puts the I-95 corridor on the warm side, the eastern side. Strong southerly winds along the coast push warm air surging northward all the way into New York City right now. Temperatures at 60 degrees. Expect temperatures to hold in the low and mid 60s for the next several hours throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. And again, more showers, maybe some embedded thunderstorms, and more heavy rain is likely over the next several hours. And that threat will continue into the overnight hours until a cold front right here catches up to the whole system and moves through in the overnight hours, paving the way for some colder, drier conditions on Saturday. Well, here's the latest radar, Lou, from WSI's Intellicast.com website. And this area right here with very heavy rainfall just off the Outer Banks actually will ride up to the north and very likely to impact New Jersey, maybe eastern Pennsylvania later this morning into the midday hours. That's why I'm really concerned about some flash flooding potential in these areas, in particular eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, all the whole Delmarva Peninsula, and really from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. A lot of this rain is moving northward and will just move over an area, training hour after hour of some heavy downpours, quite possible over the next several hours in these particular areas. You see there's a large area still being impacted by this whole storm system, many hours to go through. You can see kind of a circulation down here associated with that surface low, and that doesn't really come through the Mid-Atlantic region until that frontal passage sweeps from west to east in the overnight hours. So again, a lot of rainfall to go through right into the overnight hours. Doesn't clear out of here until late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Well, let's walk through last night's NAM forecast model in terms of the 500 millibar height anomalies. Very deep upper level low situated over the eastern third of the nation. Slow moving. And that's why we have several hours to go here before we're in the clear in the Mid-Atlantic region. Why flash flooding is a serious concern. Screaming southerly winds along the eastern seaboard. Again, a spring-like feel out there this morning. Temperatures already at 60 degrees will hold in the 60s over the next several hours. Let's just push forward here. These maps, by the way, from tropicaltidbits.com. Here's that upper level feature right here. And that just slowly slides to the north and east. And again, not until that strong surface cold front passes through in the overnight hours will we be in the clear here in the I-95 corridor. This is now midnight tonight going into the overnight hours. At that time, the surface cold front pushes on through. Let me just now speed things up a little bit because there's another wave of interest here that looks like could bring some snow shower activity on Sunday night going into early Monday morning. Monday is Christmas Eve. This wave looks like it's just moving from west to east, and by Sunday will be situated out over the Ohio Valley, and then by Sunday night it moves right over the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, very good likelihood of some snow shower activity Sunday night, especially north of the Mason-Dixon line, the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. Could even be some minor accumulations, maybe a coating or so in the Sunday night hours going into early Monday. Well, let's now look at the surface forecast maps from last night's 0Z NAM model, the higher resolution NAM model here. And again, focusing on this heavy rain right here from the Outer Banks all the way to just off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, the Delmarva Peninsula here. And watch what happens over the next several hours. We're starting off here at 7 a.m. this morning, and let's just keep moving forward in hourly increments. There you go, right into New Jersey. And again, that'll be kind of a training situation where heavy cells of heavy shower cells, maybe an embedded rumble of thunder rolls over the same location. Again, very saturated grounds. Look at that here. Just continues to move from south to north over eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York City. Watch out for some serious flash flooding over the next several hours. And here we go again. Still some heavy rainfall here. This is now later this afternoon over the New York City metro region. There's that surface low, and again, until that cold front sweeps through in the overnight hours, we will not be in the clear in terms of precipitation here in the I-95 corridor. More rain right into the evening, and then in the overnight hours, that low pushes on by a strong cold front with some additional showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder in the overnight hours, and then winds will shift to the northwest, and we get some colder, drier air Saturday, a cold, windy day. Some sunshine will develop, good drying conditions, which we will need after this soaking rain event. And again, strong northwest winds on Saturday. The winds will relax on Sunday. Basically a dry and cold day during Sunday, but then late in the day clouds will thicken up, and Sunday night, early Monday, there very well could be some snow shower activity again, primarily focused on Pennsylvania, Maryland border north, maybe even some minor accumulations by early Monday. That's it for now. Big impact over the next 24 hours from this major storm in the east. Watch out for flash flooding. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.